tonight we're delighted to welcome Louise Head. Louise has won the English Women's Chess Championship in 2017 and 19, I believe, and was a member of the England women's team at the 2018 World Chess Olympiad. So I'll let you, Louise, introduce what you're going to cover today. So welcome, and please let me pass over to you.
Thanks a lot, Martin. Yeah, and thanks for the intro. I'm really excited to be here, and it's really nice to be able to give a talk, especially after so many other good talks in the series. Also, some of you might already know me as well, or probably most of you in this group, because I'm actually also a Crowthorne member and have been since I was about 10. So I'm quite local to Camberley. But as I was saying, not too long ago, I'm also living in Edinburgh at the moment, doing a PhD. So I'm actually not overly local this very second. But as far as what I'm going to cover this evening, so I'd like to just go through ideally 3 games if I have the time, of 2 tournaments that were very important to my chess career. One of them is the Czech Open in Pardubice in 2018, which I think was my best tournament and where I achieved my first WIM norm. And if I have time, that there's 2 other games as well that I'd like to talk about from the English Women's Championship in 2017, which was where I first got my first national title, which wasn't a junior title. And so I'll probably go and share my screen and get going with this. So I think, can everyone see?
Yeah, that's fine.
Can everyone see this?
Yeah, thank you.
Wonderful. So I'm probably I probably went a bit too far. I'll start with this game. So this is my game from the Czech Open, and I've played a couple of times in the Czech Open. It's actually one of my favourite tournaments. It's a really nice place in Pardubice, and it's not very expensive, and there's lots of really strong players, many title players as well, which is ideal for a norm hunt. And so this was my first game. Sorry, not my first game. This is my, I think, 6th game of the tournament, where now the title hunt is quite important, and I was hoping to try and get WIM norm or possibly higher. Also, one slight thing for any Crowthorne members, possibly a couple of you might have seen one or more of these games before. I think definitely Colin might have actually analysed this particular game on the Crowthorne website. But hopefully, because it was a few years ago, you might still enjoy watching it again. And so Felix Meisner was my opponent, and he's a German FM. So it was a good game to play. So without further ado, I'll start. So I was white here, and so first of all, I was expecting from my opponent either a Grunfeld or a King's Indian, but actually he ended up playing e6, which obviously stops both of those openings from happening. And I think this was a tactical sort of choice from a move order, since I think he was also trying to go for an IM norm at the time, and was, I think, trying to get me out of theory and or out of preparation at least. And so he hadn't played this, I don't think, on the database before this game. So I continued with my usual knight f3, an anti-Nimzo idea, and he proceeded with d5, which is a Queen's Gambit decline position. And here, after knight c3, he played d takes c4, which is called the Vienna variation. Has anyone played this as black? I was interested. Are there any Vienna players here?
Very rare line, I think, isn't it?
No, I've never had it as white either.
It's pretty unusual.
Yeah, I'd never played against it until this game, which is unusual because it looks like quite a standard sort of structure, and I think it can transpose into these sort of standard lines. You know, I mean, obviously you're accepting the pawn on c4, the Queen's Gambit pawn, and so you can definitely transpose into some sort of Queen's Gambit accepted lines. But one difference of playing it here is well, I mean, you can play in other moves. Is that actually there are there are 3 moves that for white here, and the very sharp line is e4, which didn't happen, but this is a move which probably is white's best move here. And I've given you a small, if any of you haven't seen these sort of lines before. So a typical continuation could be something like bishop b4, bishop g5, and c5. And the idea is black's given up this, black's taken this pawn, so they're giving white the center, but they have sharp attacks trying to, there's a pinned knight here, so they're trying to attack the e4 pawn, but also they attack on this d4 pawn as well. So it's quite a sharp line, and here's just one example of, I think, one of the main line theories where you take this pawn and knight takes, and then there's some sort of wild tactics with which you probably need to know the theory to, where the bishop, if you take here, then queen takes bishop. But I think first of all knight takes, I think bishop takes c3, and essentially the idea is that it's an opening that you'd want to learn, I think, to play as white. And yeah, I'd never played against it before, but I think I had seen it, so I decided to play a quieter line. One other option here is to play queen a4, and after a move like c6, which we might transpose into a Slav, semi-Slav-like position. I think you can reach this from a queen d3 line of the semi-Slav. But this didn't happen, and so I played what's called the quiet variation, e3, which just transposes back into some more of the standard lines of the maybe sort of the Queen's Gambit accepted lines that I was more familiar with, and I think it's a little bit easier to play. And so here black plays a6, which again, as black, I would play this sort of idea in the Queen's Gambit accepted, and the idea is this didn't happen, but the idea is if you immediately take this pawn, then black is going to be playing moves like b5, and once this bishop moves to somewhere like d3 or b3, black will play bishop b7, so fianchettoing the bishop, and play moves like c5 and knight bd7. Again, you've given up, black's given up the center, but they attack towards the center, and I think it's quite a solid line for black, and you get some quite nice positions from it. So this was black's plan, and so one idea for white to stop this b5 line is to play a4 in this position, and so the idea here is that although you give up this b4 square, which so black can sort of play bishop here and knight here, which you wouldn't have had otherwise, it does stop b5. And so black played b6 in order to fianchetto the bishop anyway, but without this square. And after bishop takes c4, bishop b7, castles, and then bishop to b4. So this is reasonably sensible chess so far. And so here I was wondering, have people played these sort of positions as white, and what sort of plans would you sort of think about playing? I mean, obviously one question is this bishop is stuck behind the c-pawn. Does anyone have any sort of thoughts on this position?
Not easy to get e4 in, is it? It's quite difficult. I'm not sure what I'd do.
I'd put my queen on e2 and the bishop on d2, and then maybe retreat the knight.
To try and get e4 in, or? Well,
I to develop the bishop, and you can always bring the knight back to b1 if necessary.
That is true. Yeah. So you're saying queen here, maybe bishop here, and a knight here.
Yeah. To
try and maybe force an exchange. Maybe bishop c3 ideas, and then maybe. Yeah, I think that's a good plan.
How about getting the knight off c3 and bringing it round via e2 to G3 or F4 and then put the bishop on B2?
Yes, you could do that.
To avert having to go back to B1. That looks a bit negative to me.
Yeah, I think definitely. Knight e2, knight f4. I mean, yes, you're probably making quite a few knight moves at this point, but I mean, I think some of the nicer position, the nice thing about some of these calm openings is that you do have time to play knight maneuvers and piece maneuvers to get your pieces into better positions. So black hasn't got any quick attacks.
Knight e5, any good?
Well, and then F3, Richard.
Yeah, it looks a bit artificial. Maybe black can just challenge the knight.
How about Queen B3?
I think Queen B3 is actually the computer move, or one of the computer moves here. Yeah, just I think putting some question on this bishop. I mean, there could be. I don't think there are any particularly good sacks, but it could scare black a little bit.
Would they not take the knight on F3 off first?
They can. This
Just smashing
You
the
take on
pawn.
on B4.
you take on B4 though, which gives black a little bit of time. If she's castling for one. I mean, also some of
back to D5. The bishop.
yeah, you can move this back or put a knight here, but I'll probably just take them off and maybe move the queen. Well, I'll probably maybe play B3 and bishop here, perhaps to hold this and then move the queen and maybe attack the c pawn. I think in this position.
This is terrible for black.
Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, in general, I mean, this bishop is one of black's most active pieces as well. So you don't tend to want to swap this off. Sometimes even you don't really want to double the pawn here, even if white can take back, because white, this is still quite solid, and white can still use it to attack. So the other move. So I think the best moves here were Queen B3 or actually Queen E2. I think someone suggested as well. And the idea is that with either of these moves, if you say Queen E2, one of the ideas for black, so one is obviously to castle, another idea is to play C5. And if black tries to play a move like C5, then white can play moves like rook to D1 and put some, well, first of all threaten to take and also to possibly threaten something like D5 later on. So this.
Is knight A2 and B4 ridiculous?
I was looking at that, but I don't know what you do after with your knight though.
If you go knight A2, the bishop moves, play B4, and then bishop B2, and then
they're going to hit the B pawn though.
You're kind of holding back the C pawn though. You're making the C pawn backward.
But you want to protect B4, don't you? I was wondering about that as well, but I didn't expect. How do you protect? B4?
Yeah, I think this is an idea which you can play. I think one thing though, black can move this bishop back to say E7 in these positions, which
and then play B4.
Yeah, but I suppose then you've got a bit more time. Because I don't know if you want to push this.
No, just holding the C pawn backward.
Can black play C5, or is that too risky?
Well, he's behind. You take with the B pawn and then play rook B1, maybe.
Yeah, he's behind in development, isn't he?
Yeah, I think black probably wouldn't play.
Do that. You want to exploit the B pawn, don't you? Though that's the problem with it. You can protect it
first, then.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that as well, Andy, but I wasn't sure how you would do there afterwards.
Yeah, I'll probably move on to. I think this is a possible plan. I think there's quite a number here, and I think in some ways moves like this are actually quite nice too because black's moves are to play C5 and any sort of move to prevent that or to make it worse is probably a good one. I actually played a move which I think is a bit passive. I played bishop B2, D2. I mean. With ideas, I think a few people have suggested these sort of ideas, but to move the knight somewhere and probably try and reroute this bishop, either exchange them or to move it to C3. But I think a move like c5 here is maybe probably the best for black. And then we haven't got any sort of quick rook to d1 ideas, and I think maybe I've tangled the pieces a little bit. It's still not a bad move, but I think that queen move is probably a little bit better. But in any case, so black now plays queen e7. I think I've already asked this question, but which I don't know if this is. I suppose they may be threatening at some point e5, but I think it's a long way away. Maybe giving some support to this bishop once this knight moves. Maybe I don't think they'll be casting queenside, but I don't know. Just I guess maybe a slight waiting move. And now actually I played a move similar to what Richard I think said is knight e5. And the idea of knight e5 is that I'm slightly playing on this queen move. And whilst I've got two ideas. One, I'm playing on this queen move so that I can play something like knight d3, and this then puts question on this bishop and what they want to do. So that if say bishop takes c3, then I will take it back and I'll be happy because my bishop's out. The other idea is after knight here is if they do nothing, then obviously I'm happy to exchange this knight for this bishop. And the third idea is then if the bishop comes to d6, which is I think pretty much what happens later on, then I can possibly look at expanding my pawns towards the center.
Yeah.
And so those are some possible ideas. And another idea is that I could also go with something like f3 and block down this bishop line, and possibly prepare e4. So yeah, that was my idea behind knight e5. And so here black castled, and now I carried on with my plan of knight d3, attacking this bishop. And black played the move bishop to d6 as well. And as I said, f3 to now prepare a sort of e5 moves, e4, e5. And black played knight bd7, e4. So again, I've got my pawn. So black's let me have this pawn structure for the moment. And so now I'm threatening to go e5, and black plays e5 in order to stop this. And so I wonder what everyone's thoughts are about responding to this move.
D5 looks tempting.
So d5, that's one candidate move.
I like the look of bishop g5.
That's
it's the last
interesting.
piece that's not doing anything.
Yeah, that's what I was going to suggest.
Yeah, actually, I haven't looked at this move any detail. That's quite interesting because I suppose your plan is if pawn takes knight here.
Yeah.
You do look. I mean, you are giving up a pawn though. I think.
That means you gain an open file.
Open file. Which one?
Every time you lose a pawn, you get an open file.
Positive thinking, eh?
Yeah, that's one way of looking at it.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely. I think it's probably playable. I think just queen here though. And I think well we can take this off if we want to. But possibly we've got an escape move like bishop e7 or even h6.
Isn't bishop takes f6 a threat now because you can come in with e5?
Mm.
Isn't knight takes knight check awkward?
Or bishop takes.
Well, knight takes knight. You can't play knight takes because of e5.
Oh, okay.
So you've got to play g takes.
Bishop h6.
Yeah. Maybe just take the knight on d5 instead.
I think black has to play bishop takes d5 rather than retreat the queen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you might be right actually. Yeah, because actually e5 is quite a killer here.
The knight is a real pain. It has to be removed.
Because you don't want to start playing this, even if you keep this pawn.
No, it's awful.
Yeah, I think you're right then. Pawn,
Whip it off.
bishop takes. I guess bishop takes.
Look at f4's gonna roll you up.
Yeah, because this knight, of course, actually is a really great piece for white. Because otherwise, black's. Oops. Oops. I think I gave away the move. Yeah, sorry, which position? So here and bishop takes.
So rook e8.
Mm-hmm.
f4.
We might have.
Yeah, I might have to play h6 and then recapture. This is not looking nice, is it?
No, actually, this is quite an interesting move. I hadn't looked at this in the position.
You're not threatening e5 because the bishop's on freeze, then, isn't it? To go e5. Not threatening it straight away anyway.
Well,
Queen spin.
No, play h6. I think black has to play h6, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Can you play g5 now?
Ooh.
Absolutely outrageous.
You might have to.
That's brave.
Knight takes d. Get rid of that. Yeah. I suppose h takes g. Oh, we don't have to because it's.
Well, it's pinned, but we've also got an escape move with queen here if we need it.
Yeah, we have. I quite like simple h takes.
Or queen g4.
Yeah.
Richard, instead of taking on d5, can white play queen h5?
Well, let's have a look at it.
At which point, sorry?
In that line that you played when you ended up with playing h6, and no, not playing bishop h4, but I think playing e. Did you play e5? What was the? I might have actually got the position wrong, but.
Well, if e5, we'll just take the bishop, won't we?
Yeah,
so
I just
got to move the.
Oh, don't worry about it. Move on. It's
I suppose you've still got bishop takes f6 here, and we might have to play. We might have to play. Oh, we can play knight takes. So we can
Play
just
knight takes. Play knight takes.
Well, knight takes and
knight
then
takes is fine. Yeah. So white's got to play bishop h4. Yeah, he just got it.
After rook e8, you've got bishop c6, and both knights are pinned.
I'm not sure about rook e8.
Yeah. The other thing here, which is black, we might have. I'm not saying it's a good move, but if we really have to stop this e5 move, we might even have bishop takes pawn and then g5.
Well, I haven't seen g5 refuted yet.
I think this is a maybe last resort move.
So what did you play?
It's sharp though, isn't it? You'd have to.
Yeah, this is sharp. This is.
Oh,
this
I
is
see what you mean, Julian. Bishop c6 and then e5. You're quite right. Yes.
Yeah, but black hasn't got to put the rook on e8. You can put it on, say, d8 or something.
So actually, maybe move like bishop
Very
here
interesting.
is actually a really interesting try. So this wasn't the move. Of course. I guess that probably bishop here and the other move that I played was d5. I think are the two candidates. I mean, of course, the tactic, you can't take this pawn here because if say knight take. Well, actually, I could probably play it through. There's this tactic, of course, which you kind of have to keep this knight here, threatening both of these moves.
Yeah, devastation.
So the best moves then. I mean, yeah, it's interesting. I hadn't really thought about this move. But d5, it is closing up the position, but it but then again, it does keep this bishop quite terrible. And also it closes out this bishop too.
It does. It's a nice space gaining move, isn't it?
Yeah. And so black plays knight to h5 here. I think because also maybe a possibility for black. Also, I think a little bit in these sort of positions now, it might end up being a little bit of a piece shuffle here, partly because these bishops are not so good, this bishop's not so good, and there aren't many obvious pawn breaks in these positions, other than possibly something like f5. Like white will take some time to prepare anything of its own. Possibly at some point it might have f4, but you've got to be very careful that you've prepared the center before doing that. And so yeah, so they played knight h5, and I played a move which I don't know if I should have. I played g3. The idea of this is that it's preparing something like f4. It's partly a waiting move as well, to see what black wants to do. It also partly well, it gives my king a space to go to if I need it. So and also it stops possibly a knight from coming here. That was why I played it. I think I didn't need to play it though, and I think the important thing about these positions too is that, you know, white doesn't have many weaknesses, and I think the more sort of pawn moves like this maybe could be creating a weakness later on h3 or somewhere, but it's not too bad. And so black plays knight c5, to which I play king g2, which again I don't think I needed to play this. I think there are maybe some sort of queen moves or bishop here moves which might be a little bit better. I think my idea was to slightly get off this diagonal eventually, but they decided. Sorry.
Could you have played knight f2, retaining pieces just to keep him cramped? But I suppose black would play a5. I suppose.
At this position,
I don't know whether knight f2 is a good move or not.
I think knight f2 is actually one of the computer moves. Knight f2 and then sort of bishop e3.
Yeah, just keep as many pieces on the board as possible because black's very cramped.
Exactly. And also, no, black can't really play f5 or anything yet because I can just take it and then play g4.
Absolutely. But what you played was fine.
Yeah, I think it's fine. I think the computer didn't. Actually, I think the computer was fine with king g2. I think so you have to be a little bit careful you don't plant too many ideas into black's head though, and possibly if I start playing things like king g2, then it will probably start giving black a plan maybe to come to h3 in some line. Not that it's a big issue, but it's something to be aware of. So yeah, I played king. So yeah, knight f2 is a good move. I played king g2, and they played back again, obviously because they ran out of any sort of good squares from h5.
Shouldn't black be swapping the knights off and put just to swap some pieces because he's cramped and play bishop c5 afterwards?
Yes.
Leave that knight on h5 and just play knight takes d3, and then bishop c5, and then he's then in a minute maybe queen d7, bishop c8, queen h3 check, and checkmate.
Yeah, I can see the check.
That's really nice actually. Yeah, so
brilliant.
Everyone, I don't know, something like this.
I like it. Yeah. White does have a couple of moves in the meantime.
I think I might have noticed by this point.
That's not that obvious.
Does white have f4 there after bishop c5? Just, I don't know.
Yeah, it definitely attacks this.
Very interesting.
Quite possible. Especially maybe with the. We've got sort of bishop f4 ideas off takes.
Beat the knight.
Yeah, it's whether to take. I think probably do take this off. Although actually f5 could be interesting too.
Well, black will probably play c6 then, will he?
What after f5?
Well, he's got to do something quickly, otherwise g4, g5 is going to roll him up.
Yeah, especially with this rook on the f file.
So probably c6 to try and open the long diagonal.
So maybe play instead of knight f6, maybe g6. Just to keep the pressure on the f4 square. G6.
G6.
Still play f5 if I
I think
want.
I think it might invite things like f5 and bishop h6. If you go g6, I think maybe it might be a bit better to keep these pawn structures a bit more solid. But yeah, possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. In any case, I'll probably go back to possibly black might want to swap off some things, and then yeah, maybe ideas like c6 and try and break down white's pawn structure in the center could be worthwhile. And maybe this is more of a reason why moves like f4 maybe should be delayed until white's got all the pieces prepared.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, they played f6, and I just there's maybe some piece shuffling, bishop e3, and maybe this stops this checkmate plan, and maybe some 55 ideas. And now they do actually take on d3, queen takes d3, and rook f d8. And so I think I'm going to play through the next moves maybe a little bit more quickly because there's not a huge amount happening. Notice that if they do play c6 here, this is still quite a solid pawn structure. I obviously would have to move the queen, but this isn't so bad. And so I play rook here. Possibly I could reroute the rooks the other way, but I think at this point it's still good to play sort of sensible positional moves. Bishop c8. So now they're looking at the h3 square that Czech wanted, but notice there's no checkmate anymore, immediately at least. And so I played this, which I don't know if I need to play this yet. I think possibly not. I think it will be a move that maybe would be worth playing after queen d7, but I think again, I think if you play two moves like this, maybe black. I'm not saying h5 is a good move, but black could start getting some could start using it as a target. And the other thing too is that I've just created this weakness on f4. Although it take them some time to get there, but something to be aware of. And so
should black not be playing bishop c5 to block off to swap off the spare bishop?
Yes, I think he should.
I think that would certainly be an idea. One thing which might be interesting is whether I could play bishop here. And then if something h6, maybe reroute it to g3. I don't know.
Maybe if you'd done it the move before, you wouldn't have been able to go back to h4 then. So,
yeah, black should have played the move before. You're right.
Before you play g4. So yeah. I think it's crying out for him to swap off the dark square bishops.
I think so. Yeah, because I mean the bishop on d6. I mean it's basically a pawn.
Yeah.
It's not really doing anything, and it's getting in the way of trying to attack down the d file. So possibly they should try and swap off things at this point. But in any case, they play knight here, which I suppose partly is maybe to prepare something on c5, and otherwise maybe to reroute the knight into f4.
That looks good.
So queen d2. Part of this is just put more protection on f4. Again, I think for me, I need to slightly wait and see what black's doing. Possibly I could play some sort of positionally good moves, like maybe put the rooks on the c. But otherwise my pieces. Oh, actually, I suppose this knight could come to f5 as well.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's slightly waiting to see what black does. And after knight f8, I actually do decide to play knight e2 to maybe slightly line up this square and also to prevent something from coming in here. Knight g6. I played this as a sort of waiting move, partly to block off some squares from the queen later on. Again, they may not necessarily play this, and it could be even tempting to let them come this way and maybe try and trap the queen later. But I mean, they're probably not going to fall for anything here. But in any case, again, seeing f6 isn't too bad to see.
Could he have played instead of f6? Could he have played knight f4 check? Is that possible?
I think I can just take it.
With what?
The
Three things on it.
Bishop.
bishop.
Okay, and then we take back.
Take with a knight.
Yeah. Well, now you've got weak dark squares, haven't you?
Queen e5, yeah.
E5, yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
that is nice.
Suddenly that bishop's good.
Bishop's beautiful now.
Yeah, in which case, maybe
Take with the knight first, not the bishop.
you don't have to take this back though.
Take with the knight. If you take with the knight, then
And you're right, you can take the knight.
Take the bishop.
When we take the bishop.
No, don't take the pawn. Take it with the bishop. Can you play knight d4 now?
Yep. Or yeah, actually, there's a few positions later on where this tactic does play in. So maybe keep an eye out for it then. But yeah, you're right. You don't have to take it back. And actually, in some ways, I've actually made my king even safer.
The pawn is blocking his attack. Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah. F6 is simple. And now bishop e3. Play king h8. Obviously, at some point they're planning the c6 move. And now I'm not going to give you too much away. I play a move which the computer actually quite likes, which is not very. In fact, you can see it here, but it's not very standard. And I think the idea that why I played this was maybe to put some protection on these squares and partly again as a waiting move. And I didn't see any particular threat with the queen coming in here, and possibly if I wanted, I could even play something like rook h1 and h4 and things. But this does slightly invite some interesting moves, and I put here the game starts at this point because up until now it's been quite piece shuffling and positional. And at this point, the game slightly transforms.
Can black play f5?
Yeah.
F5 is what was played, and I don't want to give away too much. So I've given another question. How would you respond to this as white once you see a move like f5?
Bishop c5.
No.
Bishop here.
No.
No.
About f4 check.
F4 check.
I'll do that.
You've just lost a piece. You can take this, but it's not good.
Yeah.
Bishop to f2 instead.
Bishop f2.
Can you be brave and just play g takes f5?
G takes f5.
H4, isn't it?
Richard, yes, that is the move. That is the move that I played.
I can't see a direct refutation. It's dangerous, but
It's difficult to play against as white, but
you've got to be brave and take it.
I think so, because otherwise, things like if you move the bishop, or especially actually a move like bishop here might be tricky too, because you're slightly closing off the king squares. So I think one thing I'd be worried about bishop here is probably just taking this pawn, and then maybe something like queen here.
It's all over. That's losing.
And then you can, I mean, it's really horrible.
G takes f5 is forced.
So G takes f5 is forced. E takes f5, which isn't very natural to play at all, as well, completely loses to this. And I mean, I probably for time won't play through all the positions, but if you play a bishop here or a knight here, then you fall into all sorts of issues with. Well, actually, I think there's some moves where the queen even. Well, I think there's sacrifices on f5 lines and queen coming in here and. Well, yeah. One example is it f bishop here might be queen here.
Mm-hmm.
You get these sort of positions, and then possibly queen takes here and bishop takes this pawn, and then you've got all the pieces coming in.
You're
so
there.
You don't want to take e takes. I mean, I think this is probably not so natural anyway, given that this bishop finally comes into the game. if you take this way. But you're right.
Piece now.
G takes is the best move and only move. In my opinion.
Louise, did you see F5 coming when you played King G3? And had you looked at this, or was F5 a nasty shock?
I don't 100% remember because it was quite a while ago. I think I probably had actually dismissed it. I think I mean I was definitely aware that I need to be careful of any sort of bishops opening up. I think F5 is quite it's a move, obviously. Well, for one, it's defended by the square is defended by 2 pawns, and two, I just sort of felt like my pawns were closed enough that they wouldn't have anything. And again, like the bishop, the queen, and the knight, I wasn't sure if they could get anything quick. And I don't know. I think I hadn't really appreciated that this was a big move. So I think the answer is no.
But were you confident of winning at this point? What was your feeling of the position?
What was my feeling?
Yeah.
Well, I think I had a very deep think at this point. And I think from this point onwards, I didn't really know whether I was better or worse. Obviously, material, I'll be a pawn up from this point. But I'd say from the rest of the game, it's slightly hanging on. So I don't know. I think I was hopeful that I could defend it, but I knew it would be difficult.
King G3, very provocative.
Yeah, it definitely is.
It's a win or lose move.
It's a win or lose move, which worked out for the best in the end. But yeah, you don't want to unnecessarily go into all the stress. So they played knight to f4, and at this point, I think there was some issues with this because for one, you can't take this with the knight.
Yes.
So if you take this,
ouch! Yes.
Queen G5.
Yes.
So that is difficult. I think you can play bishop takes, and this is why I said it's similar to that other line where you don't take this back, and you just reroute the king, probably out to h1. Yep. And that's okay. So I think this is actually the best move to play, and it's not one that I played. I played h4, which is, I think it is, so actually throughout almost all this game, I am actually, by computer evaluation, winning, but it's quite difficult because exactly, because you're just worried that I mean, for one, this bishop, this knight, I just said, like, it's difficult to even capture this. All it takes is black to open up with maybe g6 or g5 and get the rook in, and then it's very, very difficult. So oops, I probably shouldn't have played that.
Bishop b4 diversing the queen, followed by rook d6, bringing the rook over to h6. Is that an idea?
Yes.
I'm sure it is. I think you need to, the only one thing is this knight might be captured.
Yeah, it will.
And then if you can capture this with so say bishop takes, pawn takes. You can't quite do queen takes though, can you? But you could probably defend this though with the rook for one, rook h1. That was part of the reason why I played this, is to defend this, and there might be moves like this to defend this. But certainly that's an option. They actually played this move. Great. So they played b5, which I think the idea here is that, you know, white's just about holding on this king side, and so black wants to, well, for one, actually I've probably spent a lot of time as well thinking about this, and so maybe it's a slight time move, but they want to try and complicate things on the queen side as well. And so, of course, with moves like takes, and bishop takes, and rook b8, they now even if this queen goes off and perhaps reroutes, and finds itself to h5 or still attacks this part, then they're keeping their rook on this line, keeping pressure on b2, but also giving bishop b4 as an opportunity. Also now opening up this bishop. So this definitely makes the game even more all or nothing. Like I think probably most of you looking at this position probably think this is unlikely to be a draw. This is either going to be a horrific loss for me, or I can survive it. And
would offer a draw at this point.
you can offer a draw at this point. But I don't think it's a false one. Pardon?
I'm not convinced by black that idea by black. I think it's irrelevant. But
I think black should have played RG8 and G6.
I think rook G8 and G6 is a good plan.
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
Nothing.
I suppose there's
I
knight.
think maybe they're worried the king can.
Oh, we can.
Out, but
Can we take that knight? We can actually.
Actually, yeah, in this position after h4, I can actually do
You can whip the knight off.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So yeah, they have to play something quite quick, and I think that's why maybe they played this, is just because it's a quick activation of pieces, and
especially in b2 if you take on f4.
But you just move the bishop back to c4, and then you can play b3, propping it up.
Yep.
That is exactly what happened.
That's the whole idea.
Plays here, and now I just play b3, and I've kept this pawn for the moment, or probably for a long time. I mean, my bishop's bad, but at this point,
doesn't matter. You're 2 pawns up.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
g5.
Always coming.
Sorry, Louise, just either earlier or rather than g5, is knight h5 by black an option to try and get a perpetual? So knight h5, king h3, and knight back.
Can you play g6? Oh, there's bishop g5 coming in as well. Ouch. Ooh.
Yeah, bishop g5 is coming.
Ow.
So put your knight back on f4.
No, you take it.
I'm half wondering if there might even be a.
Play knight takes then.
Oh, sorry, which?
Oh, yeah.
Which point?
This is. Okay, I think this.
No, g5's a good move for black, isn't it?
Well, a computer would think most of these moves are bad because white by computer evaluation is holding, and so all these sort of moves don't really help. But I mean, it definitely is scary, and gives more opportunities for white to go wrong, which is I think what you try here. How would people want to respond to this? Out of interest.
Wow.
How would you?
Well, g takes h4 isn't a terrible threat, providing we can defend the g file.
I mean, to the A, maybe.
Rook h1.
Yeah, get the rooks over to the H and G files.
That was what I played. I think I've obviously put interest. Oh, where have I put this?
Did you play h5 by any chance? This might be completely ridiculous.
I didn't.
Knight takes, check.
I think it gives a route.
Well, king g4. Let's get that king active for the end game.
Knight g7.
Go for a silly mate, Colin. Is this the idea? Or?
Oh, rook there. That looks quite. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. You lose
I want to play bishop takes g5, obviously, as
You
well
can
as
play
king
queen
takes.
g6, can't you?
Oh, that's true.
You can. Yeah, actually, after bishop takes here, yeah, you can go queen g6, and then move the knight.
Rook h1. Yeah, true. It looks wrong, I know, but I just thought bishop takes g5 was perhaps a stronger threat than it is.
Rook h1 looked all right, didn't it? Someone suggested that.
Yeah.
I think this looks a bit unnecessarily scary, perhaps playing h5. So yeah, rook h1 is what I played. I'm not going to play through this, but apparently there's another interesting line. And now rook g8. Trying to obviously bash down the G file and attack my king, and so I play H5 now because now I've actually got it defended too. And now they play bishop to d7, of course, to try and prepare something like rook here and perhaps even sacrifice on this. I mean, black has to play moves like this since they've already lost pawns and they have to continue attacking.
So Louise, going back, why did black not open the? Why did he not play GH check? Just to open the G file when he had the chance.
You've got rook g4, haven't you, covering it? Is that the idea?
Well, a minute ago, wasn't it? Wasn't there before you played? So before rook g8. So yeah, just open the file.
Here, I think this was that interesting line. So this can be played. Actually, I think the best move is just to go king here.
King f2, yeah.
And then you can play rook here
Rook g1
if you need to. I think I put this interesting line that I can survive it if I take this, but I think it's unnecessary because you can play things like this position and you get a check. And I think there's even a bishop sacrifice on here in a bit, which does work out fine for white, but it
you don't need to do this.
It makes it scary. And I think again the white's queen ends up taking here, and there's a saving move of queen e2. I could. No, I won't play through it, but yeah, it's unnecessary. So I think just king.
King f2 is good.
Exactly. So anyway, I've closed this up. Oh yeah, and then this is a move which I've just slightly ruined, but
yeah.
This was my grand move to save the
outrageous
position.
king g4.
And this is probably the sole reason why I'm showing this game, or part of it, is because I don't think. Especially if you do a piece count here as well, almost all the pieces are still on the board. So there's a knight off from both sides. Okay, so a few pawns for me and one or two extra pawns for black. But really most of the pieces on the board. And I've never had a game where my king is in the center of the board defending, and also just being on the 4th rank. I don't know. I've never had this. I don't know about others, but this is actually a good defensive move.
What would be wrong with rook dg1 instead of rook king g4? What's wrong with that?
Rook here.
Yeah.
I would guess probably this might be okay. I think I'd.
Bishop e8 hitting the h pawn.
Bishop, which one?
Yeah. Then king g4.
Can you play this now? It's a little scary.
Oh, yeah.
I think because you've still got knight here, so this might be fine.
Probably instead of bishop just g4.
A bit hairy though.
It is a little bit hairy.
Especially
is you wonder whether you might even have so can you even sacrifice on here and then play like bishop here and queen? Not sure.
Yeah,
Nerves of steel, Louise. Nerves of steel. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I'll go back to what I played. So, but yeah, there probably are other moves. I know the computer actually quite liked this move, which was nice, and so now it means that black desperate since my king is doing such a great job defending itself. It means that black has to do everything now to try and really f5 is the pawn to target. But actually I've got a nice blanket sort of move, keeping my king nicely defended of knight g3, and now that f5 pawn is not really a big target now. And I think black now plays h6, which I think is it kind of means it's over in some ways, because they haven't even got any sort of rook to here, or I don't know. This now isn't really a target, and actually I think my king looks very safe now.
It is. There's no way in.
No, I think Actually, I'm not going to spoil one plan.
There's no way out for the night.
You're doing a winning plan, Louise. That's the bit I was struggling with. I think in this position, what was White doing to win?
What was White doing?
Trouble with.
Well, White was defending to win.
No, but from this, you're 2 pawns up. But what do you do now? That's what I can't wait to see. I don't know.
Take the A file. Take the A file.
We do what every chess player does when you're material up. You try and calmly swap off all the pieces and win the end game. That was
correct. You can invade on the A file.
Okay, 1. Again, I'll probably play through this a little bit quicker because this actually ends up being reasonably straightforward. Again, I'm not like at this point. White's as good as I think as good as won it. You just have to not mess up because you've survived all the tactics and things have died down now.
Must have been incredibly frustrating for Black, who's trying to get your king, and there's just no way at it.
I think it must be, especially as the pieces are not far away from the king.
Yeah.
But it's just between my pawns and Black's pawns, the king is just very safe.
Did Black have any ideas of a smothered mate before he played H6?
I know exactly what we're thinking. Apparently not. Maybe because this knight might take a while to get there.
If perhaps I've been taking enough substances, I can imagine a position where
the knight can't get there.
I know, but you know what I mean. I was just trying to imagine some route where you could engineer a smothered mate.
And John, you need to keep that idea in mind.
Okay.
But keep that idea in mind.
After H6, it kind of all. H6 is a kind of I'm giving up move, isn't it?
I think it was, but yeah, I'm not going to spoil that idea. But keep an eye for some other mates. I'll give you that one.
Okay.
But in any case, Queen F2. Obviously, idea to try and swap things off. And they go and play. I think that Black slightly given up, and so I now actually get nice piece trades. I didn't need to take this, I think, yet, but I did, and so now this.
No, it's a matter of technique, surely.
Exactly.
Push the B pawn.
I play B4. Maybe I could play rook here first. So here now Black is using his knight, and obviously I don't want to lose my piece. I just play here for now. Notice I still have H3, so I'm not quite getting smother mated. They give up.
Well, I thought I'd keep that idea in mind.
I play this maybe to come.
Or even allowing a draw by repetition,
Just stop rook A2 and now I actually play this just to prevent any night ideas or possible smother mates. And now it's looking quite sensible. I was actually going to spoil it up to here, and so end up swapping off pieces. And now I'm going to pose the question: should Black resign? And I think John already knows the answer.
Well, yeah.
Oh, he's got knight D3.
That's subtle, yeah.
So I think someone's just said the answer. Black has one last hope of knight to F2 smother mate.
Now, normally in an OTB game, you would play knight D3 and synchronously offer a cup of tea to your opponent. Just casually play knight D3. Would you like a cup of tea?
Would you like a draw?
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that Black's king's on E7. If it's on E8, then what does White do?
Well, I think White's always got a knight move or a pawn move. You're right though. I mean, I have a very forcing move to not fall into mother mate. Although saying that, I could still fall into it on this move. I could.
Any knight move, you're fine, aren't you?
But knight F5.
Should be a square.
Knight 5.
Yeah.
Attacking all these pawns and now giving myself an escape square. And at this point, Black resigns.
Yeah.
Nice one.
So,
nice game.
That was a very nice.
Very crisp finish, Louise. Very amazing.
Brave play.
That was a tough game, that wasn't it? You must have been shredded at the end of that.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, it was quite terrifying. I mean, really, because this game was started off quite calm, quite positional, and then there was a sequence of like eight or nine moves, which were just like F5, and then you just had to really fight for not losing, because a lot of the lines did lose.
Did you play King G4 in a very confident way? That's what I would just.
That's a no then, Louise.
Really slap the piece down onto the board. You know how people do that.
The only move, yeah.
If I hit the board hard, it makes it stronger.
Your king might fall it over, and then they...
Louise, how close were you to a norm at that point in this game?
So at this point, I think this was round 6 or 7, and it was a 9-round tournament. So I think I was still hopeful. Because I think there was a WIM that I beat in the previous round, I think. So, and I actually did draw to my a GM as well. So as far as getting a norm, you need to obviously score a certain amount against title players, and you need to get a performance rating. And so this was nice because I think this was my 3rd title player that I was playing. And that's one of the requirements, I think, to score. I think is it 1 out of 3, I think, against title players, which I had done, but you need to play a certain amount of title players. So definitely this game helped the performance rating, and also the number that you can win. So yeah, I was still at this point I was hoping for a WIM norm, and I think this almost secured it at this point.
Sorry, Louise, could you just explain a little bit more about the norms then? So this is for international master, is it? And how many do you need, and have you got, etc., please?
So you need 3 norms to get. So this is the same for IM titles, GM titles, and also the woman version 2. You need 3 norms. This is my only norm actually, so I've got 1 here. And I say it's done through. It's kind of challenging because you have to, as I say, beat a certain number of title players. You have to play, I think, is it 4 or 5 out of 9 of title players as well. So if you play in a tournament where there aren't many title players, then even if you have a great performance rating, then you can lose out quite easily from that. So this is my only one, but it was nice. I was quite close to an IM norm actually in this tournament. I just needed to. It was a final round game, and if I won, then I would have got an IM norm, and if I think it was a draw WGM norm, and if I lost, then I can keep the WIM norm. But sadly I lost. Because it was to someone else who was also going for a norm as well, and I think they prepared a very horrible line.
And they reset after a certain amount of time, don't they? You have to get them.
I don't think the norms do.
No, they used to.
Yeah, they used to. Definitely.
They don't have a sell-by date. No.
Yeah, the other thing is also you need to achieve a certain rating as well, and also, so you can have all the norms, but for a WIM you need to be above 2200 at some point. So yeah, I've got a little bit of way to go, but it was nice to get my first one here. So actually, from time, I think we probably might only have time for one of them. So there is a choice. So I'll just give a short summary, and then we can maybe choose the one to watch. So this one is similar in the sense, I don't know if any of the Crowthorne members remember this one, but this one's similar in the sense that this was actually a final round game against Sue Marua, which was the game to win the English Women's Championship, and it was completely wild, but it was similar to this game in the sense that I was holding on for dear life in order to survive it. But there's some very interesting tactics and ideas from the position, and this other game against Camel Bartia was the previous round, and this one I'm more in control, but there's a nice. Actually, a sacrifice from me, which I don't normally play, to win it, and it's a bit more calm, but but you watch me winning for most of the game. So, is there a particular one? Does anyone have a vote for 2 or 3?
I vote for 3.
I'll vote for Wild.
Yeah, sack line.
Who's your stronger opponent?
On grade, they're similar. They're about the same.
There's not a lot to choose, I would say, is there?
About 180, aren't they? 180.
Sue at the time was a 215, I think.
Okay. Wow.
And Camel's like a 190 level. But they both kind of switch around 200 200 level. This one's a shorter one, but as I say, it has got more. It's got more to think about.
Well,
but this
should we
one.
go for that one then?
But then, do you want to see me winning? I don't mind. Okay.
I'd like to see you less under duress, Louise. You know.
Why?
I don't know.
Okay.
Well, people seem to favour number 2. So.
Okay.
You want number 2?
Go on then.
Number 2.
Okay. Maybe I'll put a position at the end of this one where you can all watch me do a piece sack.
Okay.
I think this one. Oops. This one I think is probably one of the more interesting games. Probably ever, at least in my games. So as I say, this was an interesting game because this was the final round of the English Women's. At this point, I was on 4 out of 4, and Sue was on 3 out of 4, and I think Camwell was on 3 out of 4. And so this was quite an important game. It was a must-win for Sue if she wanted to tie with me on first. And so I think going into a final game like that does slightly change the dynamic of the game. She's not going to want to go for draws and play sensible chess, whereas I'm very happy to go for a draw or play sensible chess. And so yeah, I think quite an interesting game emerges from it.
Can you flip the colours?
Yes, actually, I would think that's a good plan.
Yeah.
Is this Dwayne Jones's girlfriend or wife?
Wife, yep.
Yeah, they're married now.
I think she's Mara Jones now. I think she was at the time.
Yeah.
But anyway. So I am black, and we have a Caro-Kann. D4.
I thought you said it was sensible, Louise.
That is very sensible, Mark.
This is a sensible line.
I'd like to endorse how sensible that is.
And Sue plays the advanced variation, and of course the far most common opening or move from this position is to play bishop to f5, and you I think I can put this the main line and from this there's obviously moves like sort of knight here. I think even knight c3 is a move and h4 and this is a sensible way to play it for black, but it is the main line, and I'd been looking at a different move. C5, which is the Botvinnik-Coles defense.
Well, this is the Kenkin Arkle variation, isn't it?
Yeah, Arkle's played this a lot. I think it was from watching some of Keith's games that I decided to try this out.
Yeah.
And he plays this a lot and successfully. And so, yeah,
you get all the benefits of a French without the terrible bishop.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's the idea of this. Is that yes, you've played this pawn move twice, but
White's played twice.
I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we can still have the freedom to move this bishop out to f5 or possibly g4 if the knight comes out. Then we'll close up with e6 and probably try and gang up on this d pawn. And so yeah, we have a kind of advanced French, but with the bishop out, which can be quite a nice way to play it. And that these sort of structures emerge particularly if White plays something like c3 or knight here, which are quite commonly played. But actually, if White wants to, I guess, play the sharpest line or punish it, perhaps they should take the pawn, and this makes it maybe a little bit more risky for black. And the idea is, yes, of course, well, first of all, you've taken a pawn, so black has to win it back, but also often black will have to actually close up the position in order to win the pawn back. But then black does actually play on these two pawn weaknesses. So I think there's quite a plus side to it. And actually, I think Keith in this move, he more often not plays knight c6, which I think is the slightly more dynamic way to play this. But I actually just played e6 because I know that, well, for one, I know that I can guarantee winning a pawn back, and also because I think knight c6 takes a bit more preparation to play successfully, but I think it probably is the better way to play it. But in any case, e6, obviously attacking this pawn. And now, actually, Sue plays, again, probably an even still sharper line, a3.
This is very trendy now.
This is very trendy. I've had this actually quite a few times.
This came from a load of analysis by Spielman on this line.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the idea is, if bishop takes here, then for one, white can play things like b4, feature the bishop and get quite a sharp position, maybe c4 and queen g4 is also a move in a lot of these lines, putting pressure on this pawn. So I think I had James Adair play this as well in another game. So, and I've had a couple of other games since. So it is quite common. But actually, this is the first time I played against it. So I didn't know too at this point.
What do you do if they play bishop e3 guarding the pawn out of interest?
Knight c6.
You can play knight c6 or actually even knight d7.
Or queen c7.
Queen c7. Yeah, that's also a move.
All right.
Yeah, I think queen c7 or knight here maybe are the two.
Well, I mean, black plays the knight to e7 and f5, and white needs to go c3 and bishop d4 essentially.
Yes, but I think white will lose one of these pawns anyway.
Yeah. Can they play queen d4
now? Queen.
Well, knight e7.
Yeah, you got moves like knight here, possibly even to go knight here or.
You don't.
Actually, maybe even knight. No, I think you're right. No, knight here is
Knight
probably.
e7, I think it's more accurate.
e7.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you can definitely win the pawn back.
No, I think white has to go c3 and bishop d4 and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think these are what you consider probably the main lines, moves like this and knight here to this line. But a3 I think is quite an interesting try. And so I played takes c5, and white played queen g4 here. So they can go b4 first, see where this bishop goes, and then often queen g4 is played. But queen g4 here is also quite an interesting move because it asks a question about what black's going to do to this pawn. And there are a few different moves. Does anyone sort of know the theory to this?
I think you can play knight e7 now. Is that right?
Yeah, knight e7 is the best move.
Yeah.
And the idea is if
knight
something,
g6.
they play knight g6, and there's actually quite an interesting line. I don't know if black plays, I don't know, say knight bishop here. I think you can get pretty much a forced draw where often this happens.
Yeah, there's a standard draw here. That's right.
And if queen goes out, then you take this pawn, and black may be a bit better if that happens. So
would that have suited you in the game to play?
Yes, it would have. Yeah. I was happy with the draw because, as I said, I was a point ahead of everyone else, and it was the final game. So Sue definitely would not be looking to play probably queen takes in this line. Although it's interesting, given that she played it, I don't know what she would have done. I mean, you don't have to take the pawn in these lines. In any case, the other two moves, you can also play bishop to f8 as well, and then often chase the queen away later. So you can play things like knight here, and then h5 and chase the queen, and then maybe move the knights back and attack this pawn. Or you can play g6, which I played, and I think it's probably the worst of the three.
Yeah.
Positionally, it gives all these dark squares to white, and
white should be happy now, I think.
I think so. I think analysis wise it's quite level, but I think it is easier to play for white at this point. And so white plays b4 here, and this is where I need to don't look at this. This is where I actually play a move which I don't think I should have, given that I was again trying to keep this a calm game. I played queen c7. I'm going to go off this because I'm going to ask you the question: what did white do here, and I mean, what are thoughts as well of this position?
on with knight f3 or bishop b2.
Those I think are very sensible moves, and that was what I was expecting, having played something like queen to c7.
You take the bishop, maybe.
Can they take the bishop?
What, and lose the rook on a1?
Yeah, but
well, then you got compensation just on the dark squares, haven't you? Because black's already weakened those.
Bishop f4.
Before that does defend this too. I'm gonna give you a little bit longer to think about this position, because this is definitely I missed this. And I'm not saying it's the best move, but it's a very, very interesting try from white. And also, I'm not saying that one of the moves already suggested isn't the move that she played as well. So it could be one of the moves that has already been suggested.
I mean, there's some bishop f2 ideas as well. At some point, maybe.
It could be.
Because the bishop's loose on c1. So I'm looking at that forking f2 and c1.
Yeah, but that's not going to work, is it?
No, I'm just.
Although you do have knight.
Yeah.
d2.
So what are we trying to work out? The best move or what white played?
So I'll tell you that the best moves I think were the ones suggested already: knight to f3 and bishop to b2, and these ones, as you would expect, are fine because they defend this pawn and especially bishop here. It also defends this rook, and again, like after I move the rook, then they can just defend this, and that's the best move for white. But white did not play that. They played something which is much sharper.
Taking the bishop, I suppose.
Taking the bishop is what happened, and then after here.
Were you surprised by that?
Of course.
Bishop e3.
Yeah.
Knight e2.
What would have John McEnroe said after b takes c5?
It must be serious.
So surely you have to take this.
And then can you play knight ec3, trapping the queen?
Knight ec3, trapping the queen was exactly what was played.
But it takes a long time to win her, though.
It does take a long time.
May not be possible.
You may not want to win her. You might just exclude her from the game.
Queen b4, I don't know.
But this coupled, I think one thing here is that so if you take an analysis of actually I think I've given some questions here. I'm not necessarily sure if these are best, but so obviously one observation is that the queen is out the game. But maybe positionally, what does black have here? What sort of plans do you think white would try?
White threaten queen.
Queen
b4 to try and threaten b2. I don't know.
That is definitely a move to. I can't move this now, but yeah, certainly. Queen here, bishop here is a very immediate threat. And
what about knight c6 then?
Yeah.
Knight c6. Yep. So knight c6 is what I played, and the other nice thing too is that the queen as well, also has this square too, and playing knight c6, it means that
you're guarding some black squares.
I'm guarding some black squares.
And d4.
D5.
Maybe, yeah.
So were you worried here about your queen situation, or did you perhaps see a few moves ahead and think, no, I can see a way out of it?
I think you have to be worried in these positions. But I definitely wasn't calm because unfortunately there's a lot of pins ideas here. You'll see there's even worse tactics in a minute. Obviously I always have to worry about queen here, but there's other moves as well, like queen to a4 and queen here as well, even if I play things like a5. And there's not really a quick idea on how to get your queen out of this. Especially one thing about black's position here is that I've not really got any pieces out, and the only piece I have got out now is this knight, which is pinned, and my queen, which is about to be taken if I'm not careful. So I was very worried at this point. The other thing too as well, I'm not gonna tell you this one, but yeah, there's some tactics that I need to worry about, which will emerge in about 2 moves or 3 moves.
So what is the computer evaluation then?
The computer is completely lost. Like it doesn't, as in like it doesn't have a clue. If you put, I mean, I think it would be okay if you put probably it on for a long time, but actually it switches from anything between about, well, I think even around this point it switches between sort of minus 0.5 to about 0.9, I think, or 1. Like it doesn't really have a big bias, but it does actually flip throughout the whole game. And if you put different engines on it, it has different evaluations too. So it doesn't really, it's actually quite a difficult position even for a computer. Partly, as I say, because there's a lot of moves around here, and all my pieces aren't coming out. So that I put this as a question which, you know, if people wanted to think about how they would evaluate this position, but the answer is I don't know.
Unclear.
Can black bring a knight to d4 eventually, somehow?
Can black do it?
Well, if you unpin, let's say you unpin and play, you can go knight e7, knight f5, maybe knight d4. It takes too long. Maybe it takes too long. I don't know.
It's going to take the knight off, aren't they? First.
Yeah, just exchange it. Ideally, as black, I'd like to play d4, but it means preparing with knight e7, bishop to d7.
Yeah.
The trouble is, knight d4 allows that knight to e4, doesn't it?
Doesn't matter because knight on b1 is still hanging.
Well, it is, yeah, but
yeah, I think you're right, John, though, because I think knight here. Well, okay, let's say the king isn't here. Knight d4 is definitely a move, obviously, not only to try and attack this bishop, but if you can start taking off some pawns.
I've been trying to make that work, but I'm not sure I can.
So you should play knight e7 maybe first to replace it.
Well, yeah,
Knight e7.
looks reasonable, doesn't
And
it?
now,
It's another plan to try and get the black knight to e4, the king knight to e4.
The king knight? What kind of talk is that?
Either of them can go there.
Well, not knight f6.
this
We're not in 1960 now, you know.
Queen d4.
Well, yeah, queen b4.
Well, queen b4 straight away.
That loses the queen, doesn't it, though?
The queen.
No, the knight's pinned.
The knight's pinned.
The knight's pinned. So queen d4 was played.
Yeah.
And then bishop b2 is a bit crushing, isn't it?
But did you play knight g7?
I played knight g7.
Yeah, so you can't play knight f6 with queen d4.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
yeah, correct.
Yeah, I think also the other thing too is if you play knight f6, I could be wrong here, but you may even have this.
Yeah, have.
And then you've got this, and you can't take it back.
That looks massive.
And I don't think it's a way to.
Okay, if you go queen d, oh no, you haven't, have you? If you go queen d4, you've got to play king e7, then knight d5 check wins the queen, doesn't it?
Yeah, or bishop g5 wins as well.
Yeah.
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 It's all winning.
All of these moves are horrible.
So knight g7.
You can't play knight f6. No.
No.
Exactly.
Knight g7 has to be played.
Yeah. Knight g7 is forced. Yeah, partly because this move is, I think, mainly because of queen here. I mean, there's many other moves as well which are hard for black, but if queen comes in here without, and if the bishop can take this off, so that's another reason why bishop d7 instead was bad, because bishop.
Well, yeah, because I mean, after queen b4, you've got to play castles, haven't you?
Right? Castles is forced.
Yeah.
That's only move.
Or king move, or bishop.
Well, all right, yeah, but I'm not going to play a king move. I'll play
castles. Castles is correct,
because obviously white doesn't want to go queen b2.
Yeah, because the castle's hanging.
So sorry, what's your suggestion here?
Castles.
Castles. See, this is what I played, and this loses.
Does that run into queen f6?
It does run into queen f6, and
ouch.
And this is where
dear.
It gets incredibly difficult, because actually the computer move here is that.
Wow.
And this shows you how bad it is, because for one, you can just take this.
That's an
and I
obvious.
can't take it back because of knight bishop here.
That's an obvious resource, isn't it? H5.
But you lose a piece straight up.
Lost, yeah. So let's go back.
You lost.
So you don't have to castle.
Right.
After queen b4, you would castle, but after queen d4.
Well, could he still done queen b4 and then queen B3 or something, or not? Maybe
Yeah,
not.
but then knight D4 would be
Knight,
available.
you've always got knight
Ah,
d4.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Queen
yeah,
D4 looks an interesting move.
With don't castle, you've got to play rook G8, haven't you?
Well, maybe E5 and then castle, but that might not work at all.
You can't play
E5 they take, don't they? They just take their knight.
They do. E5, I think, is a possibility.
castle.
It's very hard. Oh god.
You still have
E5?
What, and then Queen F6?
Oh, you still got Queen F6.
I think you still have all of these issues.
Well, you've got Bishop E6, have you? No, I don't know.
Yeah, but you just take.
Take bishop h6 there.
You've got rook e8 here.
And it's all over.
Rook e8, yeah.
Yeah, rook E8 might be a move.
Mm-hmm.
Knight F5. Yeah, it's all hanging by a thread if it works.
Castle first. What's that going to do then?
Yeah, you can just castle.
What would Kenneth Wolstenholme say?
It's not all over.
This is so grim. Wow.
There are people on the pitch.
Explain that, John, to anyone that's under 60.
There are people on the pitch.
So yeah, this is the position. I don't actually 100% remember what. I know that I think the computer move was like rook f8.
Wow.
Oh, that looks terrible.
Shows how it doesn't even stop this pin.
That is grim.
I think it's just so that you can get the rook out the way and not fall into a mating threat.
And now Queen B4.
Or Bishop H6.
There might be a
Bishop D7.
you have Bishop D7 maybe here.
Okay. This is hanging on by.
You can play Bishop H6.
Queen B3.
Queen B.
Yeah.
Bishop B.
Yeah, I was thinking Queen B3 there.
Yeah.
Queen
Because now they can just
knight d4.
Queen B3.
Knight D4, haven't you?
Well, Bishop D7 check and Queen B7 check.
Yeah, that wins. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
Good point. Yeah.
In which case,
This is
it's
terrible.
possible we might.
Knight a5.
Knight A5. Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah, yeah.
That's nice. Ish.
Yeah, I think it just about survives. I think.
No, hold on. Bishop takes bishop check.
And then Queen B5
Queen
check.
B5 check.
B5 check.
And then Bishop B2.
Yeah. Wins.
A6. Well, you can take on
Queen A.
Queen
then you've got
B6.
Queen B6.
Nice.
Yeah, this is looking quite horrible.
Knight C4.
No, Queen takes B7 check.
Queen B7 check.
time to
Yeah,
resign.
this is horrible.
Time to resign. Yes.
Maybe it's not this. I think there might be some moves like possibly here, and then maybe push again.
I think the gambit of the rook's totally justified.
It is actually it's a perfect try for a game like this.
That was incredibly creative of White to play that.
Queen C7 was a mistake then, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, but in any
It's not a
case,
ruthless exchange though, isn't it? But still though.
You got away with it.
in any case, after castles, so yeah, you're right. So yeah, just very quickly, Queen here completely loses obviously to anything, because of Bishop here, and even if I go Knight here, they've got things like G4. In fact, they'll probably go G4 first. So anything I play, and so it's very difficult. I think. So yeah, Queen F6 is lost for me, but she plays this. I think thinking that she can go Queen F6 later.
Big relief that was, I guess.
Because if I then do something like obviously Knight here, then so if I play Knight takes here, then they've got Queen here and Bishop here, and there's nothing I can do to get back in time. And so if I do pawn takes, then they've still got here and now they've got this.
Yeah.
So what was my move?
You got a suspicion zug here.
Oh, what's it?
Knight F5.
Knight F5 first.
Knight 5.
That just transposes though, right?
Or even about E5, opening the position up.
I think Knight E5. I think this might still be lost.
Yeah.
I think because you can still play this.
Correct.
Take the bishop, haven't you? Otherwise, you're a piece down. So.
And I don't care about. I mean, this bishop is not really the biggest worry at the moment. I mean, if they start going
playing E5.
E5.
Is it any good? Does it help you?
is what I played.
Open the position up.
Opens the position up. It does nicely stop knight from these ideas as well if the queen takes. Now my queen is a little safer for a time bit longer, and now I just have to worry about the mating threats.
Get the bishop out, yeah.
And also you've got knight takes bishop, and then possibilities with the rook.
Yeah, you can force the queen out by playing rook e6, maybe.
So yeah, this I can. I think you're right. I can take this, and then I might have a check, and then.
Exactly.
I mean, it still isn't easy, but I think I probably have. I mean, I assume I still have a way out from this.
Yeah, and then rook e6 is coming.
Yeah.
That's true. Rook e6. Yeah, and this knight, as knight covers all the entry squares. So yeah, so this is fine if queen takes, but Sue finds the best move here, which is queen to h4. They can, if they go queen here, I think, then I've got knight takes here. And I think queen a4 is also an interesting then try also to come in here, but I think there's I think I've got a surviving move with knight here if I need it.
Yeah, you got that.
So now white has found its way to f6 again. So I need to do something about this.
It's tough.
Knight takes bishop, and then
Knight takes bishop.
Queen f6, bishop h6.
And then knight d4.
What?
Counter attack.
You've got the check on c2.
Knight f5 as well.
Well, I do actually the check on c2. I don't think that's a. I think I've just lost.
I think that's worse.
You want to play knight e6 then.
Knight e6.
Knight e6 is an option. But what about?
Well, why not knight f5?
G4 was it?
It's all
Yeah, but
knight
you're
takes
hitting-
d5.
Taking the
Same
bishop.
reason. Yeah,
Bishop's
knight
hanging.
d5.
Yeah, you're hitting h6. But you might still have knight takes d5 anyway, to be
Yeah,
fair.
you have. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm wondering actually because maybe rook here might survive though. Yeah, this possibly, but I mean this feels like it's probably still.
You might do, but yeah, it might do. Yeah.
But you've got d4, haven't you?
I know there's some lines as well because this queen's still trapped and there's not really much white can do. I mean, they might even have time to start playing this.
Oh god.
Slow burning attack.
A slow death. And what can black do here?
What about d4? You take one of the knights.
But what's your threat though?
There's not a huge threat because the thing is, white can lose all the pieces they want. Here, they can lose this knight, this rook.
Get mate.
As if they can get mate in, which they probably will have time.
But if you
So
play
what's
h5,
wrong
it's with the f4.
What's wrong with simply casting for white?
I'm sure that's a possibility as well. I think it doesn't quite give a quick attack, and maybe there's some time to escape with. I don't know.
I know actually knight takes d5 first before castling.
I think you've got queen.
Oops.
So you've got queen takes knight check.
King d2.
Queen take rook, knight e7 mate.
No, it doesn't.
Exactly.
Yeah. In any case, I think
in that position, knight d5 doesn't work. Sorry.
in this position.
Why not?
Sorry. So in that position, I think it does. But if it's not in d4, it doesn't. Sorry. In that
Not on
position,
d4, you've got mate.
Yeah, what's black going to play now? He's going to play rook e8.
Queen takes knight.
In that position, knight d5 works.
Can't play queen takes knight because he's got to take the rook and then mate follows.
Now we're going to
cast to queen b5 with the check.
just castle now.
Castle, yeah.
Yeah, that's safer.
You've got a threat of knight c7, which is crushing. Well, oh no, he's got bishop d. Oh yeah, and then knight takes knight. Yeah, knight c7 is the threat.
Yeah, and then this knight. Once this moves, there's nothing to do to mate. I think that's over. I think.
Yeah.
Looks it.
And there's no checks or anything. Although I think even if there was a check and the king moves here, I think there's still not much that can be done.
Even. Yeah,
so, you're right. So what was position? So Yeah. Knight f5 was played at this point.
What was your clock time here? Actually, I'm curious.
Probably quite low. I don't remember, but it was quite stressful. Definitely.
What was the time control? Was it 2 hours for 40 or something like that?
I think it wasn't. It was one of those sort of standard Congress type time controls because there was 2 games a day, so I think it was probably probably no added time, but probably increments. So it's probably I'm not sure. I don't remember.
What about f5 to stop the queen coming into f6, and then defend with the rook along the 7th?
Well, I think
the
knight goes, and then 2. Then they've still got these ideas.
Yeah.
And then if rook here, then they've got bishop takes here.
Okay, so you've got to play f6, have you?
And
defend with the rook along the 7th.
f6. That's an interesting move. I haven't.
I just think we can guard g7 now.
Take the bishop out.
Yeah, I mean you've lost the piece though, so I mean we haven't.
Yeah, you just play bishop b5.
Yeah.
I suppose you got d. Oh yeah, that's very strong for white.
Yeah. In any case, I played here, and I think here you can actually take this.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, g4.
Because now this pawn is defended.
Okay, and now bishop h6, knight e6.
Knight e6.
Yeah.
d5 pawns defended, as you say. That's rather key.
Yeah.
And I think now you, well, one idea is to play here, but I think you've got rook b8. I guess castles is a move, but you can actually get the queen out now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's slow, but
maybe black's surviving. What about bishop a6?
Surviving.
Yeah.
Bishop a6 could be a okay try. You've got to be a bit careful that they haven't got time to play this though.
Yeah, yeah.
It looks like castles and f4. What are you playing?
Yeah, that's not. This is not.
Yeah.
This isn't working, is it? I don't.
Looks like black's
No, I think
winning here.
black's winning in this position. In fact, actually, black by this computer engine that's been very confused. Black is actually winning in all positions apart from this immediate queen f6 a few moves back. Black can actually hold all of this, but it just takes finding the right move. And so knight f5 is the holding move for this reason, and actually it starts to crumble. I think probably white still needs to play this to at least try it and see if I find all the best moves here. But they actually now decide to give up on the mating threats and go for my queen.
Checkmating your queen instead.
So checkmating my queen instead. And so suggestions for black?
Would you like a cup of tea?
Knight d4.
Knight d4.
Knight d4, I think.
Looks.
Knight d4. That's yeah, because I suppose if this pawn.
Oh, c2.
Can you go bishop here though?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you got bishop there. Of course you have.
You got a5 here though.
Yeah, a5.
And queen b3 is not available, is it? No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, queen b6. What are you going to do?
Queen b6, rook a6.
Rook a6.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And if funnily enough, it's white. Maybe white's queen's getting tracked.
Well, white can play queen b2, of course.
Yeah. I know.
Can play queen b2.
Pieces for a rook.
That would have been quite amusing, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's even worth white just playing bishop here and then takes and at least have this. But I think maybe this is slightly more surviving.
Takes queen.
I think because
rook's awkwardly placed. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
You may as well have taken the knight first. Check.
Well, you can go to f6. What's wrong with that?
Yeah, but knight takes
d5.
Yeah, white's much better here.
Yeah.
Mm.
So it's still tricky.
You could have played queen takes knight first, couldn't you? Because that was check.
I wish this position.
At this point.
Yeah, there.
Yeah, just
yeah,
to
but
get
then
another
I can
piece.
take the rook
Yeah,
back.
but it's just losing the exchange, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, the rook queen's defending. That's the point.
The sack the exchange.
So yeah, this is I'm not. So this doesn't. I don't
That
think this
doesn't
wins.
work. That doesn't work.
What moves?
Tough. Hmm.
So I tried last time. It was invite knight d4, bishop a4, a5. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's,
Yeah.
White's got
What's
two
up with
big
a5?
A5. So now, of course, if the queen moves here or here, then we can. Well, if it moves here, maybe we can take this, and we've also got knight here as an option.
Yeah.
And if queen comes here, then we can just take this, and we're not losing to bishop b2. So this is a fine move. And again, if queen here, we have rook here, and then we have a knight move, and possibly even rook takes here.
Yeah.
So a5 is the surviving move here.
Yeah, saving move.
Queen b3, and then I mean you can probably see it, but we've all been
Now we
talking
can
about
play the move. Yeah.
Now play it. So it is a matter of move order that survives.
Hmm.
And here actually she starts to lose resources, because I've just about held on long enough. That she no longer has my mating threats. She no longer has my queen, and now I've even got knight takes pawn.
Yeah.
My bishop comes out, and
death.
pressure is relieved, and I've even got this. And
Why did she play g4 rather than try bishop h6 there? Why not just try bishop h6?
You put f6.
well, I've got f6 for one, and the queen hasn't got a check.
Right.
And I probably even have check, and then.
Oh dear, yes.
Well, I'll play this next, I think.
Queen e7.
Rook d7.
F8, mate on F8.
Oh, bugger, sorry, yes.
F6.
Yeah, let's move the other. Let's move the other rook.
Very precise.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe this is still worth trying because it's still more tactics, but yeah. All right, and this might be better as well because it still keeps this as an option for this mating threat. So yeah, I think it unfortunately for her it is over here. So again, this is why it's another example of a game where some of the most rewarding games I think from these tournaments were the ones that I did slightly have to hold on, but it also required to find the best move in every position. So in that sense, they're quite satisfying wins, because your opponent's throwing everything at you, and at this point, okay, queen f6, I was losing, but actually at all other points, if I play the best move in every position, and normally there is only one surviving move, then you can do enough to win the game, and so that was why I like these games. So this was full of tactics, and I think this was a perfect trial for Sue for trying to win a championship game like this.
Yeah.
Didn't play knight d4.
Yeah, tremendous game.
Yeah. So yeah, so I think these are the main two games. I think I'm pretty much out of time here.
It shows you the Caro does refute e4. I've always believed that anyway.
Really gone.
Yeah. If anybody wanted to just admire a rucksack.
Yeah, we love rucksacks. Yeah.
Yeah.
This was a nice position where I had the wonderful rook takes c5, and so this is why I was going to show you this game. Because this is probably slightly throwing you in the deep end here, but this is just a nice tactic that I ended up winning this game.
What was the opening, Louise, by the way? Is this a Leningrad or something?
I can play through it very quickly in a couple of minutes if you want.
Looks like a Benko to me.
Benko?
Yeah.
B6 line of Benko.
Yeah.
This is all standard theory. which possibly you might not know, but generally the idea is that, well, for one, playing b6 is to keep the position slightly still closed, because obviously the Benker can be very challenging to play against as white, because the rooks often come to the, well, black attacks down the queen side, and along with this bishop line, there's a lot of pressure piling up on these pawns. So in order to play b6, it keeps it a bit more closed, and so again, these are sort of standard move for white, and often white plays with this weakness in mind, often clamps up with a4, a5, and puts the knight in to c4. And so again, I'll keep these quite quick, but again, this was nice because I'm keeping pressure with on the pawns. This is a possibility I didn't need to play. Black plays out with f5. Takes, pawn takes. I have to be a bit careful about the bishop because there's some moves with f4, h6 and knight here. But actually coming back again, which funny enough has also been played in another game. Again, sort of strategic moves. King here, which now means that h4 is a possibility, trying to clamp down this bishop. Knight here, to give bishop its great square and maybe put pressure on here. Now got a nice fork, which they delay with here. Best move is still to play it, and if they and there's some complicated lines with takes and king here, and you basically just win an exchange because you take this and take this back, and you've got a check as well. This is probably going way too fast, but oops, definitely went too fast.
That was too fast.
So these moves are played. This piling pressure on this pawn. They defended this square. They're now defending here. I play here to defend this, and now they play this. And this is where I have this rook takes e5.
Yeah.
Which is a move that you don't really need to calculate. It's a move that whether you see an exact continuation, it just, I mean, for one, you've even got a perpetual if you really want it. But you can kind of see that there's going to be some knights and rooks coming towards the black king.
Apart from the b2 pawn, you're not really losing any material, are you? You just
only the exchange.
The only move I consider. Play it instantly.
Yeah, but
I play this to get time.
Always repeat.
Smooth.
More pressure.
Rooks are horribly placed, disconnected.
Any ideas here?
d6.
D6. Rook e5 I'm looking at.
So there are loads of good moves here.
Yeah,
d6 is certainly a move. But the move that I chose was this one.
Yeah, that's pretty brutal.
Yeah.
The king is completely stuck. Surviving move, rook to b6. Now white's move.
Knight c6.
Knight c6, that's nice.
Knight c6, blocking this off. Bishop takes, white's move.
I want to play queen h5, but I don't know if it works.
Rook f5.
I heard the right move, rook f5.
Oh, of course, the rook's undefended, isn't it? Yeah.
Now queen h5.
Yeah, that's death.
Takes check.
Oh, check. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Resigned, I'd have thought.
Pretty much.
Got B2.
Was it here? Yeah. I mean, I'll just. And
Take that.
threatening.
That's pretty brutal.
Threatening everything, I think, isn't it?
The queen's not very well placed on a7, is it?
You get rid of the c5.
Not marvellously.
Hasn't got time to play c4.
Not marvellously placed, is it?
Yeah, so those are the three games. I would have obviously shown more ideas here, but I think you got the general idea. Yeah, thanks.
Very good.
The thing is, Louise, though, okay, you can say the rook stacks, obviously enough, but you need a good follow-up as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The nice thing was there was quite a lot of ideas though. So even if you didn't have the rook, as I say, I mean d6 was a possibility. Obviously rook up to e5, but you can even there's even like knight swing as well.
Yeah, I must have look at the knight moves, but that just looked very clean. That
Yeah. So yeah, thanks everyone for coming to listen.
Thank you, Louise. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Louise.
That's great. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, very
Thank you
good.
very much. Thank you very much, Louise. I think we really appreciated the 3 games. I know the last game was a bit quick, but no, I thought the level that you presented it at for me was perfect, and the speed that you went at, because it's quite easy to either go too quickly or get in complicated positions without explaining it properly. But I was very, I thought the level you presented it at was just right. So yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, I hopefully there was some interest, even though I was obviously had two sort of struggle games, but hopefully there was some sort of fun tactics to think through. And
very good.
As I said, the reason why I was interested in showing you these ones is because I think they were my most memorable games, and there doesn't have to be the most easy and crushing win. Like, it can just be one where you have to be very careful and calculating and just survive what your opponent throws at you. And in both those games that I showed, my opponent ran out of resources, so there's only a finite amount of throws that your opponent can put at you, and then it's just nice to finish it off with a material advantage at the end. So
I have to admit, Louise, I admire your nerves. I mean, I never have played like that, even when I was younger. It was just too much, you know.
Well, I think in both games I didn't really intend on games like that.
Oh, you didn't plan it? Oh, okay. Yeah, but it's just sort of, dear, blimey. King G4, wow.
Yeah, that was very impressive.
I was thinking Philidor, Morphy, or Steinitz used to get their king out in some games anyway. So.
Of course, that wasn't the general message of that game, is to get your king out and using your king.
It was most memorable move, though.
Yeah, the king is an attacking piece even in the middle game.
Very good.
Great. Okay, good stuff.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much again, Louise, and thank you for everyone for coming on again this evening. And we've got Andrew Martin in a few weeks. We've got Nigel Pove again. We've got Keith Arkle again. We've got Jim Plaskett, which I don't think we've had before, which is great. And we've actually got Michael Adams committed to us in a few months' time. So keep an eye on the events. And as we've mentioned before, please join online, pay your membership to keep us going. We appreciate it. And so thanks very much again, Louise.
Yeah, thanks so much for inviting me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Louise.